Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. This time we will move to adopt the agenda from the previous meeting in October, sorry. No,
You said adopt the agenda. You meant-
Yeah,
I
adopt
meant
the
for
agenda for
tonight,
tonight.
sorry. We do have one change for 12A. Mr. Stewart, would you like to?
Mayor, I move that we amend tonight's agenda and subsequently adopt that, consider an authorization to advertise for the position of town manager.
You have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. We need to, citizens' comments. Is there a sign-up sheet?
Mayor, members of the board, the first person is Ralph Lax.
I will repeat that you have 3 minutes. There will be no comments made from the board regarding, your comment. Go ahead, sir.
I just come to find out what we're gonna do about our road on Long Drive.
Okay, so he wants to know what we're gonna do on Lawing Drive.
No potholes we're gonna get filled in or nothing like that. I know we got paperwork up there in your office saying y'all responsible to do it and don't know why we ain't getting it done.
Mayor, members of the board, I will respond. I did talk to Mr. Lax some few weeks ago and explained to him, you know, what the town's position had been over time. And he repeated to what he said to me and said he was going to contact his attorney, which is certainly is right. But you know,
What did you tell me on the phone? If I sign a paper, you would come down and fill the holes in with gravel?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
you
sir.
did.
I told you that I would sit down with you and I explained to you that there was an easement going back to the lake that had been there.
my God.
That the right of way under it was not on the town system. But if we could come to some kind of agreement on something we could do one time, that I would do that if you would sign and acknowledge that the town is no longer responsible for the street. And you repeated what you said about the past and said, I'm gonna hire a lawyer and hung up.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
What's them minutes in the office for? Tell me, explain the minutes for me.
I can only tell you, I was not here when the minutes were developed. I can only tell you that whatever's in those minutes, if someone at that time, whatever they put in the minutes, that was them. That is not a right of way. It's not on the power bill. There is an easement there that allows the town to go down to the lake. And what I said to you, and I said this actually knowing in fact that the town on every previous occasion has told you that the town is not responsible. I said, I will sit down and look into it, if you will, and try to come to some conclusion. And that was when you said you were gonna consult your attorney.
What I said is when you said, Well, if you sign a paper, I'll come down and put some gravel in the pothole. You did say that. Don't call me a liar.
I didn't say you didn't, I did.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up.
Oh, yeah, I figured. I want to let everybody know that this is what you voted for right here. Them minutes in there don't mean crap, but they'll guard them with their daggone lives. That don't mean nothing. You don't mean nothing here. That's why nobody wants to live here no more. Ain't no better than what it was.
Mayor, members of the board, Charlie Lawing.
Please state your name and your address.
My name is Charles Lawing. I live on Lawing Drive.
Okay, go ahead.
I own that property that this so-called easement goes through. And I don't know how you're going to put an easement through there because it's nothing but cliffs and gullies. But there is an easement down to 1155 Lawing Drive where my daughter lives. And that's all gravelled. But what Ralph is talking about is that paved area where the fire hydrant, which was placed by the city, I imagine, and the light pole, which was placed by the city, going back to Lake Drive. Your minutes of 10 August 1984 says that the city will be responsible for street maintenance, street lights, fire protection, garbage collection, and it mentions Lawing Drive. It doesn't mention some gravel road or supposed easement that goes down to the lake, because no one has ever used that, except to go to the neighbor. There are 5 homes down there. I tore out my oil pan of my Honda, over $400, which repairs for one of those potholes. These potholes are bigger than that area right there, and we have to navigate and drive on other people's property to go around that. We have maintained it. I have gravel people coming in at least twice a year putting gravel down there, and it splits open. Basil Masula, who owned it, partially paved it. Everybody's been responsible for that property, for that road, except the city of Landis. And I am appalled. With the taxes I pay for all those properties, I am appalled. And to shovel the book, this is dated August 1984. The Constitution is 1976, and we are not denying it. And I just heard this man deny these minutes by saying, well, I wasn't here, wasn't there. Come on, y'all. Take care of your citizens. There are veterans that live on that road. There are people that are disabled that live on that road, and we need your help. Enough is enough. Let's not pass the buck. This has been dealt with before, and the city has come up there and did some patchwork over the years. I've lived down there for 15 years. So you can shun your responsibility, because if you do, you have failed us. You have failed these citizens, and
Mr.
I am tired of it.
Mr. Barefoot, can you please repeat what you offered?
I offered to sit down with them, and I came in here January the 7th as a manager. Mr. Lax, I think, appeared at the first or second meeting, and I spoke to the town attorney, I spoke to the public works director to get whatever information, and that information was consistent, despite the fact that the minutes reflected something from 1984.
It's still valid.
I only said I wasn't here. I don't know why it was put in the minutes. I just know what I've been told since I've been here.
What have you been told since you've been here? That you're not responsible for it?
That the town is not responsible.
Well,
for
I'd like to see that in writing. I would like that to be presented to the citizens here in
Can
writing.
you speak up on that?
You know, I mean, it also says Parks and Recreation. I have Parks and Recreation up my backside.
Okay, hold on just a moment.
I've looked at it a number of times, and the thing that we're interested in, what I looked at was what's in the register of deeds, what's recorded. When we're talking about real estate, if it's not of record, then it doesn't establish a responsibility of one party or the other. There's a number of different ways you can go about establishing a right-of-way or an interest in property. I think what Mr. Barefoot has said, it's not on the Powell bill, which is typically what you look to if you're a municipality as to what it is that you're responsible for. When the town establishes a right-of-way, and I hear it's in the minutes. Now, if someone is saying that there is a right-of-way, I would request that you direct me to the book and page number as it's recorded in the Register of Deeds. all the maps and plats that I've seen in my research dealing with this road continuously refers to it as a private drive. Certainly, in most situations where you have a private drive, if you have a lending institution involved, and this is, for example, what you will see is the lending institution make a request of the parties that they establish a road maintenance agreement. I don't know that there's been any of that. I understand what you're saying about the minutes that appeared in the record on 1984. I don't know what the recommendation was made by the attorney at the time. I'm assuming that was Mr. Larry Ford. But in looking at the register of deeds, what has been recorded, what recorded agreements are there between the town of Landis and the citizen, the property owners, I'm not aware of anything's recorded. Certainly, if you have that, direct my attention to it, and I'll look at it and I'll consult with Mr. Barefoot.
So why tax me? Why tax me? I have spent thousands on those maps that you've looked at, on those surveys, and I know them just as well as you do, if not more.
Well, and my question would be, if you spent thousands, why wasn't there a public dedication of those roads and streets? Why is it designated private?
I do not see any designation of private from the fire hydrant to Lake Drive. I do not see a designation of private. What I see is my driveway, and I see that easement going down to the lake, but I do not see no designation of private.
When I say designation, what I'm talking about is the maps that are recovered, that are recorded. They have that word private drive.
Yeah, it's for my private drive that ends after the fire hydrant. I mean, why do I even have a fire hydrant and a telephone pole with a light on it?
Right-of-way is a service that may be different from a water, a sewer, a light.
You know, it sounds like double speak, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It really sounds like double speak. Just like when the wilderness project got put behind my road. It's really an infringement of our rights, and it's a denial, a flat denial. After listening to you, I just feel like it was a Democratic conference. I do not appreciate you denying this request. I know my 3 minutes are up, and you can put your cell phone down now.
I'm looking at the layout, sir, of
Thank you.
of the map. Thank you.
Fine. If you have nothing to contribute to this, then go ahead and keep looking.
Okay, go ahead. Who's our next citizen's comment?
You did this job.
Nadine Cherry.
This is a joke.
Nadine Cherry.
How do we get the minutes?
What minutes?
They're gone. Moving on.
Nadine Cherry, 410 West Garden Street in Landis. I had a little bit of a concern Saturday. I sent a text to Mayor Meredith Smith, to Ashley Stewart, and to Alderwoman Sales. Just wanted to let you know the non-emergency number the citizens of Landis is to use is not working. I just tried calling and it is not working. Please find out why not and let me know. Thanks. That was sent at it's hard to see it right now. On 11/7 at 2:14 p.m. I received a text back. What number are you calling? That was from Mayor Smith. That came at
2:15.
2:15. I texted back 204-216-8500.
You texted back 704-216-8500.
Is that not just what I said?
No, you said 204. I'm just making sure that it's right for the minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. I just called and it works perfectly fine. Meredith Smith. 11/7 at 2:20 p.m. Spoke to a dispatcher, Meredith Smith, 11/7 at 2:20 p.m. When I tried calling, I could not get through. And I've got this in parentheses, being told, I believe, to check the number I was calling. To make a long story short, Buddy Porter Jr. just told me there were some issues and he would let Shane Seyfert know that he was called in early one morning this week about, I believe, some issues. Okay, that was 11/7 at 2:35, I believe. Just tried, and we have nothing to do with that line. That belongs to the county from Mayor Smith. That was received at 11/7, about 2:36. The next, in my opinion, this is not a town issue, but a county issue. Therefore, Ms. Cherry, the word "do" is capitalized. Do not boast me, which it should be bother me with this kind of issues. Call the county to complain, to add to your many other issues you have. Thank you and have a nice day. That came from Katie Sales. And that was like 11/7 at 54 p.m. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gary Martin.
My name is Gary Martin. I live at 301 South Central. This has been a number of times, and I have brought this to the board, to the police officers, whoever. It does not go good. For the 5th time, 2 weeks ago, my yard got tore up again by a truck driver. Mr. Hill and another police officer come to and made a report. 35 minutes later, after the call was called in, 35 minutes. Okay, they came. He said, "Well, we'll get in touch with whoever and we'll see." Okay. Then the other day, I was sitting in the yard. Mr. Kevin Young came to my house and said, "I want to see where this property happened." He goes out. He said, "Yeah, you can see where the truck." He missed the fire hydrants. You couldn't have stuck your hand out because he'd have tore it off. The sign that they put out, he missed it about 2 inches. 2 inches. Well, I asked Mr. Young, I said, "Well, why did they put the sign out?" His response, you told him, "To get the town off my back." That's the reason that they put the sign up, to get me off of the town's back. Well, guess what? I'm not off the town's back. There's going to be something done about my yard getting tore up. I'm tired of it. It's like I said, how would you feel if a truck driver come through your yard and tore your yard up? How would you feel? Would you like it? No. Well, then he sat there and had the term to call me a smart butt. Well, the other word. He said, "You being smart." I said, "How am I being smart?" Because I sit there and said, "Well, what's the difference of me putting a sign down here and says, "Oh, said, you taking a long cut around, just come through my yard. There ain't nothing I can do about it." That's improper. And I will take it to court. I will take it to court. I promise you. Because it's invalid. 5 times I have asked this to be done. You plainly sit there, Mr. Miller, and in my front yard with witnesses, my wife and all, said if I put anything in my yard, that I'm liable for it. No. That's my property. I can put what I want to in my property.
You're right. You can put a brick wall on
Well,
your
then
property.
you sit there and said that I couldn't.
But you're going to want the town to pay for it when something happens. That's what you told me, and therefore we will not pay
But
for
you
that.
plainly told me and my wife the day that you come down about that landing zone thing, and I said my yard got tore up then.
Okay, and what did I say? I said you can put a brick wall, and you said you wanted the town to pay for it if the brick wall gets torn down. Your time is up, sir.
Well, I knew it was up. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Because you're not going to hear me out. It ain't going to happen. That's what's wrong with the
Okay.
town now.
Is there anybody else, sir? No. Okay. That concludes public comments. Mr. Stewart, would you like to make a motion for number 6? Or number
Mayor,
7?
Mayor and Board, I move that we consider to adopt the minutes from the meeting last month, October 5th of 2020.
I second that.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to bring attention of paragraph 5, last sentence. Need to change Katie's name. I have one wife and I don't want another one.
What?
Paragraph 5, end where it says Katie Overcash, A,
Give us,
second page, paragraph 5. Starts with manager Barefoot remind the board he received complaints. Third page.
Oh,
Third
third
page in your
page.
packet. You don't need to read. You find it, Meredith?
no.
It's right here. Right up from it.
What item, yeah. What
Oh, it's
item
under,
10?
I'm sorry, it's under public hearing.
Public
Item
hearing.
10.
Item 9, I'm sorry. Item 9, paragraph 5.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't even catch that. I guess when you,
I got one, don't need no more.
I guess when you read over it, you just think.
Yeah.
Katie Sales.
That's fine.
No worries.
Other than that,
Little laughter, we're good.
yeah.
Okay.
We can vote on it.
No discussion after we change Katie's name. If that is so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes. Mr. Barefoot, would you like to take item number 8?
I'd like to find the one y'all just discussed.
Oh,
That's okay.
okay,
I
it
do it a
is,
long time. I got you.
it's,
The next item is primarily just sent as information regarding a new letterhead and town seal or watermark for the town. We've got 2 drawings. On the first page, the letterhead at the top is something that we're moving to the old style with the lamp post on the left. All the way up and down the page, you have no ability to, to really to put in different widths of language. So we want a standard type letterhead, and that's what that is. And Amber's done a good job working on that. The seal, the colored seal in the middle, as explained in my memorandum, I didn't do the seal. Several folks helped develop the seal. But it is intended to represent important pieces of our community from the past, the present, and the future. The dark red colors remind us of our South Row End Raiders. It was first put in as Rebels.
let's
And
change
believe it,
that.
and believe it or not, Amber is the one who found it.
Good job.
She recognized
We
it.
the Ra- we the
My
Raiders.
wife graduated when it was Rebels. But also the gold representing Carter Light Middle and Landis Elementary, and then of course the town's the light post, because we do provide power, and then the oak tree representing future growth, and then the railroad track that represents the heart of the track running through our community. So it's just there for you to look at, and if you have any comments, I'm not sure,
The watermarking looks good.
going forward, if it stays the same, we'll probably start using some water as a watermark and perhaps a seal later on.
Do you like the watermarking
I
now
do
that you
like
know what it is?
So,
All right, so do we need a vote on, do you want us to vote on it?
I don't
or
think so.
It's just, you were letting us know.
Unless you want to adopt it tonight, but I don't know that,
Any discussion on it?
Suits me.
Yeah, it was good.
No.
Okay. All right,
We will now move to number 9.
Got a call from, I think it was from TJ at the county, that they adopted, they're required to adopt a hazardous mitigation plan for the county. It is required to qualify the county for federal disaster funding, due to the Stafford and other acts. It also, the county wanted us to adopt it ourselves. So I prepared the resolution, before you, basically adopting their hazard mitigation plan that we would participate in. So I'd recommend the board approve the resolution.
All right, do I have a motion?
Mayor, this time I move that the board considers adopting the resolution of adoption of the Rowan County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second?
Second that.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We will go to the parade.
Mayor, members of the board, you have before you an ordinance. It is a local ordinance declaring the closure of portions of both South and North Main Streets for the Southern Rowan Christmas Parade. Every year, as you all know, we participate in the parade. The officials from China Grove actually made a request. I asked them to include us in the request to allow us to close portions of the DOT street, which they did. So they're passing an ordinance closing the streets from Coach Deal on up to 29, up to more 29 turns. And this resolution would close it beginning at 6th Street, and it actually goes beyond the limit. I know our town limit stops at Limit Street, but I just use the language to include it down to Coach Deal, just to show that we are gonna have it closed all the way until it gets into the China Grove community. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but I would recommend the board approve.
Any discussion?
No.
All right.
Just don't need any dates, it's just for the parade.
It's on the
Whenever.
day, Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. Times are 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Oh, okay, I'll see it there now. Is that this year?
this year,
Okay.
2020.
And it probably won't be closed at full length.
No.
That's to give us time.
Mayor and Board, I move we approve the ordinance for declaring the closure of portions of both North and South Main Streets for the Southern Rowan Christmas Parade, which occurs November 24th, Tuesday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
All right.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, before we jump off of the parade for just a second, if you don't mind, we will be riding on Engine 1 as councilman of the town of Landis. Mr. Stewart, will you be able to be present?
Yes.
Mr. Poyer?
No.
Mr. Overcash?
Not sure yet,
Not sure yet.
if I can get off.
Okay. And Ms. Sales?
Yes.
Okay. So we will have a sign, and we'll have someone to drive us on that. Okay. Thank you so much. We will now move to item number 11.
Mayor, members of the board, during our meeting last month, we had an ordinance to erect a stop sign on a street, and also a sign regarding dual axle vehicles. The public who live on the street, I think as you all recall, opposed the stop sign. We talked about the possibility of using speed bumps as a mean, humps. I call them speed bumps, but they're in Mooresville called humps. But I mentioned that, and I was directed to get information from Mooresville. I did call the manager. He referred me to the director. He sent me a drawing, which I've included in your package. showing how it's constructed. He informed me that they had a mold they used to build them in-house. He was fairly sure we could use the mold if we wanted to do so. He also provided me with a policy that they use to qualify a street for the use of a speed hump. I haven't changed the information to read for us. I thought I'd just give you what they've got, and you can direct me if you want to pursue that. I can do so. But the street you have to have a minimum of 75% of the adult residents on the street that's requesting the speed hump. They have to actually sign in the petition, acknowledgement that the speed hump is there, that the town is not liable for any damage that may occur. It qualifies the street based on speed limit, based on minimum length, based on where the humps can go, sight distances, horizontal radius, and vertical radiuses, and amount of travel. And then there's a page that it has to be approved by the police chief and the fire chief. And then much of the same information is repeated on the installation recommendations by the public works director when it gets to him. And then there's a copy of their petition. And so.
Speaking about the police chief, what input did the police chief or our police department have about all of this? I know they go to school to learn about these things. I'm not a traffic manager. I don't know if anybody else is a traffic manager. Were they involved in this?
They were involved in the initial discussion about the stop sign. They did put a machine up. It did clock
check.
Speed limits and that kind of thing. A lot of towns don't like speed humps. I've been over and looked at it. I don't know if any of you all have, but
I've seen
I have.
Yeah.
it's not what I want to use. It's not big, and it's not. You literally don't bump. You
You just ease over them, kind of.
Somebody drunk on Saturday night goes flying down through there like that's
They
happened
would
before.
wake up.
And they hit that speed hump and homeowners find out that it's gonna be a fight between them and them to get their property fixed. They might not like speed humps too good.
Yeah. Well, I'm not asking you at this time to direct me. I mean, we can maybe try to get some input from the people on Zion Street to see what they think.
Well, this was
of it.
their request, so
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do is
I can
contact
go
Mr.
back.
Murphy.
I can go back to the minutes and get a copy of this to them and ask them to take a look at it and see what they think.
Yes.
They'll be a good test group.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, we will move to number 12.
A few weeks ago, I received a request from a resident requesting that the remaining unopened portion of North Kimmon Street be closed or abandoned. It runs for 200 feet off Bloom back towards Garden. There was a 200-foot section at Garden going all the way through to Bloom that was closed, I believe, back in the late 80s. The person that's interested in it wants to be able to add a garage to their property. They don't have enough frontage to get the building and the side yard. The neighbor it's a 50-foot right-of-way. The neighbor that fronts on Bloom has agreed and has an interest in doing it. And then there is one other neighbor, well, it's a vacant property, it's Miss Cherry's property. She owns 80, the keys on the full 200-foot depth of the right-of-way. The other 25-foot, 200 feet deep, is split between her, property owners, and then Miss Cherry in the back, 86, they're 112 feet of it, and she's 86 feet of it. Miss Cherry, I've talked to Miss Cherry about it. Miss Cherry is opposed, to it being closed. Among her responses, one was that there's timber on those, she owns 2 lots behind her residence, which fronts on Garden, that run behind her house over to the right-of-way, and one of her issues is timber there that would have to be brought out could have to be brought out at some point in time. I spoke to Miss Key about it, and Miss Key says that, the way the creek runs across the property would make it pretty difficult to go in there with any kind of equipment and get trees out. But that is a request. Miss Cherry is here if you want to hear from her. She's a nurse at night and said she could not be here. But she has agreed, if need be, to pay the expense of getting the map drawn so the deed could be drawn, if that is a problem.
Okay. All right.
I went out there last night to look. There's no way you could get a truck in back there, the way
No.
the creek is and how steep that bank is.
All right, do you have any?
I do have several questions. However, I'd like to hear a commentary from Ms. Cherry as it relates to this, if that's okay with the rest of the board.
Try not to run off with the pen again. There are some things that I have found out. I went to Salisbury, got this. There's a lot of things that have not been taken into consideration. What I have right here is called a base flood map. Okay, if, from my understanding, when I was approached or talked to about this by Interim Manager Barefoot, my understanding was that, it would be this land right here, and it's going to be hard to. But anyway, what would be given to me because of it, the way that the land is and everything, and the law, because joining property owner or whatever. I just do, from what I have found out now, I have special conditions that if I were to, go through with the easement, try to get a truck down through there, it's going to be that I have to go through the Army Corps of Engineers. There are a lot of issues, and I have been told what I have to do before I can put pipes in. And
What are you piping?
because there's a creek there. And there's no way, because a pipe would have, and I do not believe that it's going to be allowed because of the creek. And the creek bank is more on that side where my property goes, on the other side, just right on the other side of the creek. There's a whole lot of issues that I have found out about since all this came up. And I have spoken very briefly to an attorney. And I was told I have a right not to accept the property or the easement. So I am telling you, I will not accept the property or easement. And also that I was not given proper notice.
What would you consider proper notice?
Rather than the way that it was done, that, you know, by letter.
Okay, our last board meeting was October 5th, and you were spoken to prior to that. Correct?
It was in September when this started,
Okay.
and, you
Today's
know,
November the 9th. It's been 45 days.
it
or
doesn't
longer.
matter. I've already heard that. But I'm telling you, I am taking no property. There will be no property put in my name. Because there's too many requirements that it's gonna come back on me. And like I said, you've got all those trees back there that I had worried about because of all this. And you know, it was brought up about an easement. So all I'm saying is I have been told that I do not have to accept it.
So what's going to change the current state of your argument, whether it stays open or not?
If you want to
Because you
close
still
it,
have the
close
lot.
it.
Is there a legal issue, Mr. Locklear, as far as parcel ending in 172 and 183, and excuse my lack of knowledge of the legal term, being landlocked? I'll be honest with you, and we've spoken in detail about it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of your core complaint and/or solution, and/or why the easement wouldn't resolve that.
Because
Or
I
not.
am not.
I don't understand the
want
core
it.
complaint.
I just don't want it.
I understand Ms. Cherry clearly. She does not want to bear the responsibility of having to put a pipe in to take the trees out that way. I spoke to our attorney Locklear. She does not have to, the property does not have to be put in her name. It can be put in Ms. Key's name. It can be put into, I spoke to Ms. Key about that, and she would take the property if need be. Or it could be deeded to the Hurts. You know, that would be much like the one we did over with Hickory Street, where
Hickory, yes.
the full length of went to the gentleman on the left, and the town got the other 25.
So
Correct.
what does that resolve at the end of the day? If
It
Ms. Cherry
resolves-
needs access to 172 and 183, that would give her a legal easement to traverse that land?
Well, it wouldn't, it could, but I'm hearing Ms.
She
Cherry
doesn't
say
want to
she doesn't
accept
want one.
the easement.
She doesn't want the responsibility of having to put a pipe in.
You have got, like I said, it's in a gully.
Correct.
You try to get a logging truck in there.
It's not going to happen,
Exactly.
but it could happen on your side.
Right now, I'm not going to into anything else.
It's not the best way to get the trees out.
Correct.
The best
The-
way to get the trees out
would
is to go
become-
back to, I'm sorry, it's Mariah, and cross the property owner's
Yes,
lot
South
down
Mariah,
there. but
or North Mariah.
Above the creek would be
Yes.
the best way, right behind Miss Cherry's house. So if Miss Cherry, if I understand Miss Cherry correctly, she does not want the land in her name. That does not have to be done.
Well, we talked about a cartway proceeding is typically the way you address these issues. And what you have is a limited purpose for a specific period of time. And my understanding was the concept was, how do we get the trees out? And that was my recommendation. You know, I understand what she's saying about the creek and the additional specs that you would have to go to in order to make it passable. I understand that's not an option. And I understand is that the other landowners are going to be the ones who will assume responsibility for the survey of the property. And And I was telling Mr. Barefoot that accommodations could be made as far as a cartway type proceeding, have that language in the deed, whoever received that property, have that individual accept the property subject to that one exception or restriction, which would give her the right to come across it for the limited purpose of timbering those trees. I haven't looked at the property, I haven't seen a survey, but certainly I would say that that's something that's doable.
Adding those types of provisions, however, would not satisfy your request, correct?
Well,
I'm finding no compelling reason to not close it, given that there's provisions that would satisfy her counter request. Is that correct?
Yeah, and she's not accepting either the
Sure.
property, so she doesn't have to pay any taxes on it, and she's not assuming any responsibility for the maintenance of the easement.
Right.
That's the property owner, and it'll be safe, set for the limited purpose of transversing, and you could even, if they wanted to, the property owner, in doing the survey, they could ask the surveyor, oh, by the way, here's this one tract of property back here that conceivably she may want to timber. Would you mind setting me out? They could run one line and say 10 feet on either side, or they could actually do the survey of the right-of-way, whatever it's going to be.
So this process would then satisfy the request of the keys and also the point of the point of contention of access to Miss Cherry's lots 172, subsequently 183, right?
Yes.
What I'm hearing Miss Cherry say, though, is she does not want an easement because she does not want to bear the expense of piping the creek.
But Mr. Locklear's argument or process by which that could happen would deflect that from her being her personal responsibility, right?
Well, all the
Or
easement
no?
does is the right to go
Cross it. It doesn't talk about the piping of it.
It doesn't address or create an obligation on behalf of the property owner to do anything.
Correct.
And essentially, I'm assuming if the Army Corps of Engineers or whomever is going to be looking at that situation, they're going to address it with the folks who create the problem if they try to go across there without, and I don't know whether that's something that would ever happen. I'm assuming whoever's going to timber those trees aren't going to wait until it's wet before they try to do it. I don't know. I don't know. But it's all a cartway proceeding would say is you have the right to come across my property.
Would that satisfy your argument?
No, because I do not understand everything. And like I said, this where they drawed off right here.
I know, be it as it may, though, why wouldn't that
Floodplain.
cartway access?
I
That's
have
a,
been told there are certain things that if I attempt to have those trees taken down, that I have to go through a special procedure to get it done.
right, but that would happen now, or if trees came down during the weather pattern that passed through last week, it would have happened then, or it could happen in the future,
It could
or
happen
never
anytime.
happen at all.
Exactly.
I think, it's my recommendation
That we close
that
this
you
tree.
close it and not do any. If there ever comes a time when there's trees to come out, they will go to somebody and get a cartway to get it out. That's what people do.
Sounds good to me.
They
Sounds
petition
good to
them
me.
to a cartway.
Move on.
All right, so do you have anything else, Miss Cherry, on this item?
Is there anything that I'm gonna have to do or be, maybe there's something that I just don't understand?
Did the Keys offer to buy the property from you? Could sell it. It's always an option. You don't have to even worry about it then.
So, and if we proceed forward with withdrawing for an unopened portion of North Kimmon Street, there's no burden or liability that's on her at all. correct?
There's not, but in the creation of the deed, what I would like to do is put language in there that's going to say at this public hearing, she appeared and stated that she did not want any of this property. Now, the statute, when it says when you go through a withdrawing or a closing of the street, it's divided in such a way that the adjoining property owners receive it. As I understand her comments, she's saying, I don't want that. And you certainly shouldn't try to force that on her. And it goes by default to the other landowners. I'm assuming that they're gonna have some discussion between themselves, talk to the surveyor, and what I'm hearing y'all say is that, yeah, we'll close the street and divide it up however the adjoining property owners want it, recognizing Miss Cherry doesn't want any of it.
And it
And
would
one
be-
thing,
I'm sorry.
one thing I would note that I did see that in an earlier deed, Mr. D.C. Lynn owned the street on, I think it's on the other side, and he and his wife, Miss Frances, and their mother, Miss Mary Lynn, they signed it over and deeded it to someone else. This was a street that apparently wasn't ever going to be opened by the town, really served no real purpose. And so they deeded it that way. Town wasn't even involved, which I thought was pretty interesting. Here, the town's becoming involved and saying that, well, we'll go through the legal process and divide up the property, give it to whom wants it. And as I understand it, there's gonna be a garage or something built on it, so it doesn't hurt the property owners. It's something they want. They'll bear the expense of doing the survey, paying for the deed, I suppose. And Ms. Cherry says she doesn't want it. And we'll try to make that perfectly clear in the recitation of the deed. Anytime you have a legal description, you can add language and explain the process. And then certainly that's what I like to do in these type situations.
You've done good, Perry Mason.
Would it be, if I hear the attorney correctly, the motion to, the motion you would make to close or abandon the right-of-way would be subject to the requirement that the two property owners agree on how they're gonna divide Ms. Cherry's part of the property, and she would not be deeded any land. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Now, if Mr. Stewart can remember what you just said.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I think the motion would be that,
You go ahead.
the motion is to,
Listen to Mr. Barefoot, and you sure can.
authorize, to declare it abandoned under 13696 with the understanding that Ms. Nadine Cherry, who abuts a part of the property, would not receive the title to the property, and it would be divided among the remaining two property owners, depending upon how they want to split the cost of preparing the tax map.
I so moved exactly like you said.
And I second.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Well, it's time for the financial report. Can you believe we have finished the first quarter of the fiscal year,
That's exciting.
ending September the 30th? We don't have the bank statement in for October yet, so the documents that you have are as of September the 30th. I think we're in really good shape. A few highlights: we've received 2 checks for property taxes that were recorded in September. While those bills are not past due until January, we have had a number of our citizens pay property tax already. Thank you to our citizens for those payments totaling $950,879. Revenues in total for the general fund are at 41% for the year. This percentage in this environment is very positive and puts us in a good position to potentially exceed our revenue budget for the year. Revenues are currently exceeding expenditures in all funds. the general fund by $241,125, the water fund by $147,950, stormwater by $14,955, sewer by $44,665, and electric by $1,441,821. A few other items for consideration. The first debt set-off file since 2017 has been sent to the state, so we hope to start receiving some of those debts that haven't been paid in the near future. We have 157 customers remaining on our COVID utility payment plan. We originally sent out 679 payment offer letters. At the end of August, we had 461 customers participating in the COVID plan. We are thankful that a number of our customers are back at work again and making great strides to get their utilities current again. As a community, we are also thankful to the many ministries in our town and county that are helping those in need. We would be in a much different place without them. Rowan Helping Ministries and the Hope Program, Salvation Army, Department of Justice, they have all made significant contributions to help our citizens who've been impacted by COVID, and we are in a deep debt of gratitude for them. We will be placing door hangers again this month for our customers on the COVID payment plan. The reason for that is to make sure they understand exactly what their payment needs to be, and it needs to be paid by November the 25th. That seemed to help folks last month. It reduced the number of calls we got in with what needed to be paid, and we had a lot fewer disconnects last month, so we're hoping that hanging those door hangers as reminders is a good thing. And if you take a look at the pages that follow, you'll see that our cash balances are currently at about $5.1 million. That's better than it has been, so we're thankful for that. And then you have the documents behind that just show you your revenues and expenditures and where we are. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them now, or you can give me a call later on.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Any discussion, any questions?
Other than Mr. Barefoot, before you take off on yours, Miss Seaford didn't know we added 12A.
Yeah.
And we jumped 13, so. We'll ease
I
back.
jumped
You're
on in
fine.
there.
No, you
I'm
didn't
sorry.
know. You didn't know.
She was waiting.
We can ease back.
I was gonna announce
Okay.
that.
I'm sorry, I jumped on in there.
She didn't know it. You didn't know it, I don't think.
I'll go ahead and do my manager's report, and then we'll
Okay.
go back and do 12A to finally finish this out. Just a few notes. The COVID-19, we keep, it's out there, and we keep dealing with it. We really do hope that beginning next Monday, they'll be working on the improvements to the box out front and the windows and everything that we're doing. I won't say anything else about utility buildings. I think Diane's covered that very well. The public safety director search, we conducted an assessment board, so we're finishing that up and hope to have a report to you all in the near future. Earlier this week, I received a letter noting the pending retirement of Debbie Goodman, who's our longest, by a stretch, standing employee, 49 years and change. Debbie will retire on December 31st, and we wish her well, and there'll be more to hear from that, I'm sure, through the next 2 months. I have a meeting next Monday with John Gannis, the gentleman that's going to be doing code enforcement. His schedule 2 weeks ago, and my schedule this week has been impediments to our getting together, but he'll be here Monday morning. And
What is his name again?
John Gaines. I'm not sure it's Gaines or, no, Garrus, Garus. But he's doing code enforcement for some other folks, and we'll be doing it for us. And we get started in earnest next Monday. One other thing that we want to get started in earnest is 160D. One of the additional reasons why we wanted to get some members appointed to the planning board is to begin work on that, and not sure why we didn't meet this last time. I was out. I've been out on some personal matters the last week or so. But I can assure you, between now and July, we will get it done. And we'll get into compliance with 160D. I have any other questions you all may have, I'll be glad to answer them, but that's pretty much it.
Go back to 12A.
Go back to 12A,
All right.
my swan song.
We'll go back to 12A, and then we'll come back for board members' comments. Mr. Stewart.
Sure. As mentioned earlier, as we were considering adopting tonight's agenda with the inclusion, I move that we consider authorization to advertise for the position of town manager.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Not at this time.
Just, if you don't mind, I did present the board in the closed session a revised job description. I think is more current. I was working on it. I was frustrated. I gave it to our new HR person over there, and she can spit them out, and they look very professional. And we will use that as a basis for the description. We'll get it advertised. And I would expect the process to take, and normally you would say 4 months, but it would be probably a little quicker than that. To do here, and I still have some things I want to accomplish while I'm here. And, I'm very pleased with what we have accomplished since I came here on January 7th.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I will start with Mr. Evercash. Do you have any?
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Stewart.
None at this time.
Ms. Sales?
Leaf pickup, or will the town be putting out a schedule?
Ron, could you hear it back there okay? Yeah. Good. Microphone's working great, I sense. Been a long time.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We actually have already started picking up leaves. As you know, we bought the new leaf machine last year, and we found out that it moves much faster and not as much manual. But we do have a second and a third leaf machine, but it requires more people to run. So their schedule is typically Wednesdays and Thursdays would be throughout the next couple months leaf schedule, but we'll most likely have it out Tuesday through Friday. Hope everyone keeps in mind that the week of Thanksgiving and the parade, that is a very short week. We typically really only have Monday to do curbside pickup, leaf pickup, because on Tuesdays we prepare for the parade. Wednesday we had to use the leaf machines to then clean up all the wrappers and everything after the parade. So that's a challenging week for us to get leaf pickup. But we'll try to have it out at least 3 to 4 days a week, the new one. Some weeks we'll have double of them on. Okay.
I would like to ask the citizens not to put your leaves into the streets
Or sidewalks,
or sidewalks.
if possible. And with the new machine, it can only reach so far. So they'll come by, get as far as they can, and then if you may have to rake it again a little bit closer when they come through the second time. Any other questions? But
No, thank you.
No other questions, but thank you thank you and your department and your employees for pressure washing the streets downtown.
All right, hold on one second. Mr. Coyer? No. Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask Shane to come up here to the front for a second. And I'm so catching him straight off guard.
For sure.
We want to thank him for this sound system. He has worked extremely hard for weeks figuring out exactly what we needed, where we needed it, how to do it, wiring, everything. I know there's a few things that he wants to tweak because he, in some sense, is a perfectionist about certain things. And so we want to thank him. There's been no back feed tonight. There's been no roaring. Miss Nadine Cherry hasn't had to raise her hand, and for that we are thankful. I hope that you can hear us. It is being piped through the YouTube channel this time. And we hope that that is a positive for each and every one. I know that it is easier for us. We're not having to cringe, and it's been easy for us to hear people as well. So we do appreciate that, and we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I may say something real quick as well. I didn't do this unilaterally on my own. I had a great deal of assistance from Mark Perry, who works full-time in Spencer as a police officer and has a background in audio engineering. So he is probably watching, so I thank him for that. And also, we did notice that there was an issue with the live stream audio not being up to par at the initial part of this meeting. We've isolated that and fixed that. So moving forward, hopefully it'll be better for everybody at home, just like it is in here. So
Thank you, Mr. Perry. We appreciate it here in the town of Landis.
Thank you.
Thank you. My comments are going to be short and sweet. We have a parade on November the 24th. Come, have fun, wear your mask, social distance. We have plenty of area. It will start at the corner of Highland and First Street. It will end at Laurel Street, and it will start at 3 p.m. It is one of my most here, and I hope to see each and every one of you out there. Do remember to wear your mask and social distance. At this time, I think that's it. If I can ask for the...
Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Do I
I'll second that.
And all in favor? Aye. It's still live, so we will end that live stream here in just a moment.